Battle of Admiral 2020 workout number 2 is a 15-minute AMRAP. You will complete as many rounds and repetitions in 15 minutes of 12 deadlifts, 9 hang power cleans, 6 jerks, and 30 double unders. Each round you must use a different arm for the weighted movements, going back and forth. You may select to work with your right arm on round 1 or your left arm on round 1, as long as you use a differing arm for round number 2. You will get as many rounds and repetitions completed as possible in the 15 minutes, with your score being the number of rounds completed plus extra repetitions. Every repetition of the deadlift begins on the floor. If using a dumbbell, only one head of the dumbbell has to touch the floor on each rep. Every repetition should be extended so that the knees and hips are locked out at the top. There is no need to overextend at the top. As long as you stand straight, you've achieved the standards of the movement. Faults we might see on the deadlift will be not going all the way to the floor. Here we see the athlete not hitting the ground at the bottom of the repetitions. Another fault we might see in the deadlift is not fully extending at the top. Here we see the athlete's hips and knees maintaining some bend, some flexion in those, and not fully standing up on those repetitions. The hang power clean, of course, comes from the hang every repetition. The dumbbell must touch the shoulder at the top of the repetition. Even if it touches it in slightly different ways, getting up on top of the shoulder or just on the front or a dip underneath of it, as long as you go from a hang to the shoulder position, physically making contact with the shoulder, that will be a good rep. Faults on that hang power clean would be not touching the shoulder. There we see there's some space there between that dumbbell head and the athlete's shoulder. If you have a movement limitation, you may need to think about how to move your body and your weight to make that contact. For the jerks, any version of shoulder to overhead will be allowed as long as you achieve lockout at the finish of each repetition, whether that's a push press as you see here or a push jerk. Notice on the push jerk the athlete stands all the way up before the weight drops back down. That is completing the rep. Split jerk is also allowed as long as you hit the desired finish position of every repetition. Common faults on the jerk would be not hitting lockout on the repetition. We see here the athlete's elbow is not fully extended in that overhead position. If performing push jerks and you do not stand your jerk up before bringing that weight back down, that would be a no rep. You must be standing tall. Same story for a split jerk here. Must stand that all the way up before the weight can come back down. Single unders are going to be the official modification for double unders. That should be a 2-footed jump for the single under. A speed rope style or running in place will not be allowed.